The Grand Canyon's time gap puzzle may finally be solved thanks to ancient supercontinent. The scientific community has long been puzzled by the so-called great unconformity of the Grand Canyon, first observed by geologist John Wesley Powell in 1869. Something just did not make sense about the age gap between the canyon's rock layers. Researchers may have solved this mystery behind the Grand Canyon's missing rocks by linking it to the Rodinia supercontinent breakup some 700 million years ago, according to a new study published by Geology. To casual observers, the lower and upper structure of the Grand Canyon are strikingly beautiful, but to geologists they appear like a puzzle of missing time, coined the Great Unconformity. This is what was termed by John Wesley Powell in 1869. Barra Peak, a geologist and graduate student at the University of Colorado in Boulder, explains that if we treat the Grand Canyon's cliffs as a textbook of the Earth's history, it's clearly missing a lot of pages. The scientist explains in some areas more than 1 billion years worth of rocks have disappeared from the Grand Canyon without a trace. Peak and her team embarked on a trip with the ambition to solve the mystery that's perplexing the scientific world since Powell's 1869 expedition. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. During the mission that was completed in the spring of this year, they observed some 520 million year old rocks in the western part of the canyon towards Lake Mead, where they were laying directly to 1.4 to 1.8 billion year old stones. She said at the bottom you can see very clearly that there are rocks that have been pushed together. Their layers are vertical, Peak said. Then there's a cutoff, and above that you have these beautiful horizontal layers that form the buttes and peaks that you associate with the Grand Canyon. And she said there's more than 1 billion years that's gone. It's also 1 billion years during an interesting part of Earth's history where the planet is transitioning from the older setting to the modern Earth we know today. So what could have possibly happened to these missing rocks? Peak's team employed so-called thermochronology to track the heat history in the analyzed stones. They eventually came to the conclusion that the western and eastern parts of the Grand Canyon may have encountered different geological processes roughly 700 million years ago, the same time the Rodinia supercontinent was breaking up. A violent disintegration of the gigantic landmass probably tore the western and eastern halves of the Grand Canyon in different ways, this is a theory, while pulling apart the Earth around it so that some rocks ended up in the ocean. They conclude the ancient Rodinia therefore was probably to blame for this gap in time. The team is now exploring other sites of the Great Unconformity in North America to see if these findings can help to solve other puzzles linked to the missing rocks. This is on Sputnik by Alexandra Seberyakova. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support.